Hey everybody, Krishna here. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Happy New Year. This time around, I wanted to go ahead and share with you some of the behind the scenes work that I do to make a portfolio book. I'll talk about why I make a portfolio book, some of the tools that I use to create my portfolio book, and I'll break down the process of creating a portfolio book. And hopefully you'll get some insight into why I've been doing this since 2013. Every year I will go back through my work, pick out about between 20 to 40 pieces and put them together in a collection that looks something like this. So front and back cover here. These books are printed using blurb.com. I'm not getting sponsored by them or anything. I've just been a customer for a long time, and they do good work. So I'm really happy about that. So in this portfolio book here, it really does a great job of reproducing the colors. It's printed on very thick cardstock paper. This paper is actually not like your traditional paper. It's got some thickness to it, and it allows you to go ahead and lay the book completely flat to where you can see the work very clearly. So that's one of the things that I really like about Blurb. So I wanted to go ahead and now show you a little bit about the behind the scenes and also show you what I'm doing for my 2025 retrospective edition portfolio. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So Blurb has a specific free software that you can use called Bookright. It's something that if you log into their service, you can download this for free. And it's the tool that I use to lay out my portfolio book. Here you can see the front and back cover. I have the spine, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you a preview of what these pages look like so you can get a better idea of what goes into this. And then I'll talk about how I actually put this whole thing together. So here's the front and back cover with the spine. Page one. The opening page here is intentionally left blank. So really, like when you open the book, this is the first page that you're going to see. I really believe in curation, which is basically selectively picking out things that are going to work in a nice sequence to where everything feels like it's getting stronger and stronger as we're going through the book. I've got a combination of different types of layouts. This is a 2-page spread. In some cases, I'm having certain images as an inset against a larger image. So I've got this montage illustration, and I've got this standalone illustration, slightly resting above it. The goal for this portfolio book, and the reason why I make them, is for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I like to have a physical copy of my own work. Computers and files and everything can go bye-bye at any point in time. I've got backups, but after I'm gone, the books are the things that are going to be something that people can look at. The digital files are, we don't know how long they're going to last. Hopefully they'll last for a very long time, but I like to keep my work in a tangible format for myself as a record, but I also bring it with me when I'm going to meet local clients. And this actually allows me to show them the book and give them an understanding of the fact that I get print, that I'm not just drawing in a digital space. I'm thinking about color. I'm thinking about how it's going to be reproduced in an accurate way. And Blurb has been, to their credit, super fantastic to work with. So here's some mock-up covers, more illustration work, some character design work. I'm really getting heavily into montages. That I feel is kind of my calling, the thing that I like to do the most. So you're going to see a lot of montages. I'm starting to get into more experimental type, trippy type of work as well. So you can see I've got about 24 pages or so. And the software that I'm using here is very easy to use. You can drag and drop files in. But to get files from PSD format into something that Bookright understands, which are JPEGs, I'm going to show you some of the software tools that I use to make that easier. So the first thing we're going to start out with is a tool called Retro Batch. Now, I'm on a Mac, so the tools that I'm using here are specific to the Mac, but if you have a Windows equivalent that you want to go ahead and share, drop that in the comments below. So what is Retro Batch Pro? Essentially, it's like Legos for working with images. So for example, I've created this little 2-block item here where when I run this particular script, it's going to go ahead and convert a PSD or a PSB file into the same size JPEG. So if I've got a, say, 9 by 12 inch PSD file, it's going to convert it to a 9 by 12 inch JPEG file. So it's going to do a one-to-one copy. Let me just show you how this works. I'm going to hit the play button here. It's going to prompt me to go ahead and select some images. So I'll go ahead and pick this image here. I'm going to hold down my command key and pick this picture of Colossus. And I'll just choose read images. And it's running a script and it's processing the information and it's put those images in. So I've got Colossus and I've got this robot in disguise, and it just does this for me automatically. So I can choose, say, 50 or 60 PSD files or PSB files, and I can just drag them in and run the button and go get a coffee or whatever, and it just goes ahead and cranks through it. Now, I realize what some of you might be thinking. Well, what about using Photoshop Actions or using Bridge? Yes, you can do that. But I like the versatility and the speed of Retro Batch Pro. Now, it's not free, but it's priced, I think, pretty fairly for what it does. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. You can add watermarks, you can blur. It's basically powerful without having so much weight. I feel like Bridge is a pretty heavy application, as is Photoshop. And this is just very easy for me to go ahead and use these little Lego bricks to drag and drop certain steps, and it automatically does things for me. So that's Retro Batch. So once I have looked through my body of work, and I'll go ahead and pull up another program that I've been using. And again, I'm on the Mac here. I don't really like using the Finder windows because there's just a bunch of windows that I have to organize and deal with. So I actually like to use this program called Bloom. And again, it's not a free application, but it's an excellent application because what it allows me to do is it allows me to have 2 or more window panes within the same window. So here you can see I've got my desktop up top and I've got my current art folder at the bottom. So I can easily see my work and I can move things from one pane into the next pane without having to worry about windows disappearing. That's one of the things I really don't like about the Finder, but I really like this because it's super easy to use. And so I'll go through here and I'll just maybe select 10 or so images, and then I can just run Retro Batch to go ahead and process them. So once I've processed the images, they're going to end up into a folder. So I'll just go ahead and show you where that is. So if I go to my blurb data folder, these are all the JPEGs that it's processed. And Blurb's output file for the book itself, it's going to save my work off as a .blurb file. This is the file that Bookwrite generates when you're working on your stuff. It automatically saves your work too, which is pretty handy. And I really like Bloom. I really like Retro Batch Pro. I think they're both excellent apps, and I'll put links to those applications in the description for this video, actually. All right, so once I get the images converted, the next step here is to design the front and back cover. So every year I like to come up with a different cover scheme for my book. And I think one way to represent my work, I could use just a standalone single image. There's nothing wrong with that, but I like the idea of having lots of colorful things on the page. I like to change the way I'm using my typefaces. I've got different typefaces for every year. It just gives the books a little bit more uniqueness and character. So I decided to go with a diagonal approach here. I'm using my branding, my Krishna Draws branding on the back, just to kind of tie the front and the back cover together. So if I were to break this down into how long it takes me to actually make a book, or at least prepare the files for printing, the first day I spend designing the book cover, the front and back, and get those things sorted. Towards the end of the first day, if there's some time, I begin the curation process. I start looking through all of my PSD and PSB files and cherry pick the 30 or 40 images that I want to maybe put into a book. And then I'll run them into RetroBatch and convert those to images. The second day, I spend basically looking at layout. So I'm like looking at the work, trying to make some decisions as to, should this take a double page spread? You know, like how do I want these images to actually show within a book? Now, in some cases, in this particular case right here, the image itself is landscape, but it's not the full width of the actual double page spread. So Blurb gives you this, option to go ahead and change the background color of your pages. So in this case, I decided to just use black just to kind of blend the page with the art. So I think it looks kind of nice. Blurb does give you the ability to go ahead and choose multiple layouts. If you look up top here, there are several different layouts here. I'm using a square format lay flat book, and the dimensions of the book itself are 12 inches by 12 inches. So I typically don't work at that size when I'm creating the original files, when I'm doing my illustration work. So a lot of my stuff is going to have to be organized in a way that's going to fit this 12 by 12 format. So the curation process is part of the first day. The second day is just looking at layouts. And I'm also thinking about sequencing too. I'm thinking about where do I want to have the pages land. So when someone's turning the pages of the book, I want them to feel like they're getting even more excited as they're opening the cover. They're like, oh, what is this? And they're just going through and discovering and geeking out over the work. So hopefully that happens here. And this is my last image. It's kind of like, okay, the book's over. I wanted to end on a very, kind of serene type of image, kind of like it gives the eye an opportunity to rest and maybe process all of the previous work. And literally the next step after this would be to do a last review. I typically will spend an entire day, like today is that day for me outside of recording this video, where I'm just looking through the book, drinking my coffee, kind of coming back and forth to it and making subtle tweaks or fixes as needed, because I really do believe that you need to give yourself some time to kind of look at the work, especially when you're going to get something printed. You want to really give yourself some time to make sure you're doing it right. And today I was able to look through my work. I found a few small things that I needed to go back and fix. So I did that. And there we go. Everything is all squared away. So once I'm happy with this, I'll go ahead and upload this to Blurb's website. Now, a little pro tip here is Blurb has these coupon codes. I never pay a full price for this stuff. I usually get anywhere between like a 20 to 30% discount, especially if you do it around the holiday time frame. They tend to have their best deals around that time because people have already spent their holiday money. So I like to save this up and do this like sometime in late December after Christmas or sometime in January. So I think it's a great practice. I feel like, a portfolio book is really part of my legacy as an artist. It's something that I can physically bring with me if I'm going to a particular client locally, or, if nothing else, hey, it's something that I create. It's a physical book. It doesn't live in a file on my hard drive somewhere. It's actually something that I can carry and show. And I'm pretty darn proud of these things and the way they came out. I think Blurb has been fantastic in the 13 years, 12 years that I've been using them. I only had one issue with them where there was a problem with the glue on the binding for the spine of the book. And you know what? They were really cool about it. They were like, they had me take a picture of it and they sent a new duplicate copy in the mail, and I didn't have to pay anything at all. They just basically sent me another copy. I didn't have to send the original one back. They let me keep the first one, and I got a duplicate copy of that portfolio book. So again, not sponsored by Blurb, but they do great work. So hopefully this video was helpful. Maybe you haven't created portfolio books for yourself. This might be the year to go ahead and start. Let me know what you're thinking about with regards to portfolio books in the comments below. And if you've got ideas for future topics on this channel, drop them in the comments. And that way I can take a look at them and plan kind of a curriculum for this coming 2026 year. So thanks so much for watching. I guess I'll see you in the next one. Later.